Coming up, 5 tips to help you take better self-portraits. Learn to look great, feel confident, and do it all for $0 down. Here we go. Landscape photographers, please, for the love of Pete, stop taking that same crap-tastic picture of yourself standing on a mountain. You do not look like an outdoor adventurer. You just look like you're standing too far away from the camera. So please, don't be that guy. All right, friends, in this episode, I'm gonna teach you how to take amazing self-portraits that will engage your audience and make you look like a rock star. So, let's get started. Okay, I get it, you're outdoorsy. You love nature way more than you love people. And you would much rather have your lens pointed at your favorite waterfall than literally anything else in the world, especially yourself. You don't need self-portraits. Your landscape work will speak for itself. Besides, your buddy shot that iPhone picture of you 3 years ago during the camping trip. You can just use that as your profile picture. If this sounds familiar, then you are not alone. Because landscape photographers the world over are notorious for having terrible self-portraits. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to be this way. And, like it or not, eventually, you will have to engage your audience. Maybe you want to build a website someday and start selling some of your artwork. Get a few followers on Instagram, or even start up a YouTube channel to document your travels and show your viewers how you capture these amazing places. In any regard, one of these days, you are going to have to get out from behind the camera and get in front of the lens. So here are some tips and tricks on how to create engaging self-portraits. And the best part, they're not going to cost you any money at all. All you need is your camera and all natural light from the sun. First, let's talk about what not to do. I see these common mistakes all the time and they will make you look like a huge amateur. So please avoid the following at all costs. Pitfall number 1, the mountain climber. Yes, you are a landscape photographer and yes, you love the great outdoors, but that is not an excuse to keep taking this same stale picture over and over again. You are simply too far away from the camera. Nobody knows who that person is. It might as well be one of those old school inspirational posters at the dentist office. No one is impressed with your climbing skills. That's not why they follow your work. Your audience wants to get to know the artist behind the images. If you are so far away that we can't even make out your face, then you have immediately lost our attention. Pitfall number 2, hiding behind the camera. No, 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 also no, and no. Please stop taking this picture. This picture does not make you look interesting or mysterious or artistic. In fact, it does just the opposite. It makes you look like a timid scaredy cat with no confidence. So get your face out from behind the camera. And that goes for other objects as well. Pitfall number 3, the cell phone pic. If you consider yourself to have even the tiniest shred of professionalism, and dignity for that matter, when it comes to photography, then it is time to ditch the cell phone pic. Don't just go and crop yourself out of that group photo thinking, meh, that's good enough, because that is the laziest amateur hour trick in the book. You put a lot of time and money into your landscape photography. So why would you all of a sudden get cheap and lazy when it comes to your own likeness? Now, don't get me wrong, the new iPhone takes amazing images. And when utilized correctly as a purpose-built portrait camera, you can get great results. The tools are not what's in question here. It's all about the effort. All right, so I know that we are all guilty of at least one of these self-portrait pitfalls. So now let's learn how to do things the right way. Tip number 1, start with the basics. Let's boil this down to the baseline fundamentals. A good portrait should show your face clearly. There should be nothing obstructing your face, especially a camera. And speaking of cameras, it's a great idea to have a camera with you in the shot. This helps to establish your identity as a photographer. No one is going to mistake you for a tax auditor when they see that sweet camera. The camera that is not covering your face. Body composition. I like to go waist up. Nobody cares about your feet, so get in tight. Fill the frame with your upper body. Try shooting a side profile of yourself, then 3/4, and finally something a little more straight on. Eventually, you will find an angle that works for you. What lens should I use? This is not the right time to be using a wide-angle lens. In fact, I shoot all of my self-portraits with a 70 to 200 millimeter. I get it, you're a landscape photographer and you may not even have a telephoto lens, but that's okay because a 50 millimeter or a 24 to 70 millimeter will also work just fine. You want to use a longer focal length to better isolate yourself in the frame and blur out any distractions that may be in the background. Alright, all fine and good, but what should I wear? When it comes to wardrobe, I typically just get geared up as if I'm going out on a hike. This way, I'm pretty much wearing what I would wear on a landscape expedition. This actually comes in pretty handy when you think about it. Everything you could possibly need to take a good portrait will fit beautifully into your landscape bag. What backdrop should I choose? When it comes to the background, the best advice I can give is don't go crazy. You are the subject of this image. You should not have to compete with a busy backdrop. This is where you need to resist the temptation to plant yourself in the middle of an epic destination. Mother Nature will quickly take over, and the audience will not pay the least bit of attention to you. Again, consider throwing the backdrop out of focus with a longer lens. All right, friends, let's put a couple of these techniques into practice. We're gonna capture a couple of self-portraits using 4K video stills captured from the Canon R8, which is the camera that you are looking through right now. We have the trusty 70 to 200 millimeter lens hooked up, so I've got a nice shallow depth of field, and let us begin. First things first, environment. I'm basically just standing in a park. There is nothing special about this place whatsoever, and that is deliberate. I don't want to take self-portraits in an absolutely epic destination because Mother Nature is going to end up taking over, and I'm going to have to visually compete with all the crazy amazingness around me. So that's why we have a nice, simple environment to kick things off. Next, body composition. I'm roughly from the waist up. We're just kind of doing a simple top-up self-portrait. Nobody cares about your feet, so don't shoot full body self-portraits. That just doesn't make a lot of sense. You want to be able to come in close so that people can see your face. Portraits are all about the face. Next, we have nice, even, soft light. I'm standing in the shade, so the light on my face is nice and flattering. There are no flashes, modifiers, light modifiers of any kind around here. This is just natural light from the sun and shade from the trees. Okay, so let's get started. We're gonna kick things off by I'm gonna tilt ever so slightly off in this direction. I'm gonna kind of feature the photographer's tripod because landscape photographers use tripods. I wanna make sure I get that in the scene. I've got my trusty 24 to 70 millimeter lens, which is something that pretty much everybody should have in their bag if you're out shooting landscapes. So for the most part, I look the part. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of feature my attention across the front of the camera and shoot at a absolutely fake nothingness right over there. I'm staring at literally a parking lot. But that's not what matters, because what matters is what this camera sees in this direction. So let's get this going. We've got cars whizzing by, dogs barking, people out riding bikes. It's a beautiful day, and it's a great day to shoot some nice self-portraits. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna get in position, I'm gonna aim off in this direction, and I'm basically just gonna pretend to shoot some pictures over in this way. And what we're gonna do is we should be able to capture some nice images from this 4K video. So let's see what we can come up with. Here we go. Try to look happy, it's a beautiful day, and action. We've all seen the brooding artist who takes himself way too seriously. And quite frankly, that shit gets a little tedious after a while. So try to be engaging with your audience. Give them a smile. Be the type of person they would actually want to hang out with. Send a little positive energy out into the world, and good things will eventually come back to you. All right, so again, I'm being careful not to let this camera stay in front of my face for the actual images that I want to capture. I am pantomiming a full-blown as if I'm taking a picture, so don't let this be your shot. This is not the self-portrait you're looking for. This is the self-portrait you're looking for. One more time, here we go. All right, and somewhere in all of those video frames, I think we have a winning shot. And finally, if all this self-portrait stuff is starting to feel overwhelming, don't be afraid to reach out to a friend. Chances are you know at least one other photographer. Perhaps the two of you can get together and help one another out. Put on your gear, crack open a beer, and share a little cheer. And just like that, your face is poetry. All right, friends, as always, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you had fun on our little self-portrait adventure. If you have any cool tips or tricks for taking self-portraits, be sure to leave them in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. Also, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel. We have a lot of cool new stuff coming up, and I don't want you to miss out. That's gonna do it for this time. We'll see you in the next lesson.